The most important person you will ever lead in your life is you. Are you taking the lead in your life, or are you just reacting? Are you taking the lead in how much exercise you get, whether the fact that you do exercise, whether you get enough sleep at night, whether you eat a good diet of, words and food and all these things. Most people spend their lives trying to manage everything else. The crisis of consciousness. 3 things conscious leaders and uplifters do differently in an unconscious world. These new episodes are writing themselves. I am in my wheelhouse, and it is my honor. Hello, fellow trailblazers, light keepers, and overall fabulous humans. I'm Michele Phillips, and welcome to another episode of Write Your Outcome. Today, I want to talk about what I believe is one of the greatest challenges facing our world. It's not politics. It's not the economy. Not technology, not AI. I believe we are living through a crisis of consciousness. Now, before you tune me out and think it's going to get too woo-woo, stay with me. I'm not saying politics and the economy and those things aren't important, but I am saying if you've ever found yourself lying awake at 3 a.m. worrying about work, worrying about your future, your family, the state of the world, this episode is for you. Today we'll explore why so many smart, capable people are exhausted and the 3 things conscious leaders and uplifters do differently to protect their energy, reconnect with themselves, and create meaningful outcomes without sacrificing their peace in the process. Now, while I work in Fortune 500 companies with executives, this is also for light keepers. If you are on an org chart and you have people reporting to you, that's wonderful. But you are a leader in your life regardless. Are you leading yourself, your family, your spouse, your children, your community? So sit back and let's talk about consciousness. When I say consciousness, I'm talking about awareness. I'm talking about whether we are intentionally creating our lives or unconsciously reacting to them. I keep using the example of unconsciousness. If you think of someone who's literally unconscious, they're knocked out, right? Knocked out on the ground. They don't know what's happening around them. Some people are living their lives unconsciously because they've disconnected from who they are at a deep level and they're running on autopilot. And I use the example of, wolfing through a bag of potato chips, which I've done on many occasions. You open the bag and before you know it, it's gone and you're like, I don't remember eating it. You were unconscious. You still ate it. So that's what I'm saying. Our workplaces have become unconscious places. Our schools, our hospitals. If you look around, people are exhausted. They're overwhelmed. Anxiety is like, oh my God, people are like one straw away from breaking the camel's back, as the saying goes. I'm not sure I'll have to Google where the root of that comes from. But, when you got to know your load limit, meaning, right, we're taking on so much. So I use the example if you're a box truck and the box truck can only handle 10,000 pounds and you put 20,000 pounds in the box truck, those axles are going to weaken. This is what we're doing to our bodies, and we are an anxious society. We are distracted from all the technology, which makes me think, where is my phone and did I turn it off? Because I don't think I did. We are distracted. We are working harder than ever and yet somehow feeling less fulfilled. The United States is one of the richest countries in the world. We have so much, and yet we're still going, what else is there? And what's fascinating is that many people that are struggling are really intelligent, smart people. So it's not that you're not smart enough or educated enough. You are educated. You are successful. You are capable. You are driven, which tells me this isn't an intelligence problem. We have a lot of intelligent people on the planet, but we have not enough aware people on the planet. So I like how Eckhart Tolle calls it intelligence in service of madness. We would rather build bombs than build people. So we're using our intelligence, but we're not using our intelligent brains in an aware, conscious way. We have become masters of thinking, of analyzing, of achieving, of doing. But we've lost touch with being. Just being. In the last couple months, I think I've told you, I've taken social media off my phone, which has decreased my stress levels so much. I keep saying I'm spending more time with trees than screens, because while I have to do my work at a screen, I have to do this podcast at a screen, I realized that the screens were depleting me. This morning I went on my meditation app, and I hadn't been on in a while, and it was like, where have you been? Where have you been? You did one day. Can you commit to 5? Can you commit? Can you commit? And I'm like, oh my God, you know what? It's a machine asking me to commit. No, I can't commit. If I get around to it tomorrow, I will. If I don't, I'll do it the next day, because I don't always use that same app every day. So we've lost touch with being present and presence, just breathing, smiling. Smiling is yoga for your face, right? Do it with me right now. Take a deep breath in. And when you breathe out, smile. It always feels so silly when I do it, and it just makes me feel better. Right? We become so serious. We're not connected. I want you to be more aware of what's happening inside you versus what's happening outside of you. And that's what this season is about. If we are honest, we have built entire systems around being unconscious and busy. Think about it. Think about the last time you were in a hospital. I recently had a dear friend in the hospital, and hospitals are supposed to be places where you heal and you restore. And yet they're filled with rushing, noise, interruptions, things beeping and chiming. And the minute the poor patient falls asleep, they're jabbing them with something else. It's constant activity. It's not healing. The poor staff are working 12-hour shifts. Think of our schools. Schools are supposed to be places of curiosity and learning and growth. And think about going to school and being curious and learning. And yet many students feel like they're on a never-ending treadmill of performance, testing, achievement, and constant pressure. One of my cousins taught 4th grade many years, and she says, I'm out. I can't teach 4th grade anymore because we don't let them be kids. We teach all year to the test, the 4th grade test. So we've created these places which we think it's normal, like busy, workplaces, man. If you're busy at work and you're exhausted, man, you beat your chest. You wear that as a badge of honor. We wear overwhelm as proof that we matter. Do we see how upside down we are? Even our homes are no longer places of quiet refuge because of static, of noise, of screens, we had guests over this weekend, and I don't even know. We have a beautiful backyard refuge. And our guest said to us, I can't believe you don't have TV out here. I was like, oh my gosh, why would I put a TV outside when nature puts on a show for free? And years ago, I was addicted to TV. So I'm going to go off script a little bit here. I was addicted to television. I noticed when I came in the house, I would automatically turn it on. And it just played in the background, whatever was on. And years ago, I learned that was disconnecting me from my consciousness. And we're talking, this is many, many decades ago. I came home to my first husband. I said, you know what? I don't want to have the TV on all the time. I want us to pick one night of the week where we are going to turn it on and be purposeful about our viewing habits. And I'm going to date myself because this was when Friends was still on the air. It was Friends and Seinfeld were still on the air. It was like, I don't know, must see Thursday night TV. And we picked Thursday nights. And we decided that the rest of the week we were going to not turn the TV on. And if we did, it was for a purposeful reason. So again, even our homes, you carry your phone with you to room. Notifications are buzzing and flashing. And there's a book. I have not read the book, but I love the title, and it's called How to Break Up with Your Phone. So I've really been leaving my phone behind because I want to be present. I want to be present with the person I'm with. I don't want the screen to compete for my attention. The other thing you'll notice in society is silence has become a rare thing. There's not many places where you could go where there's no music playing. I was getting a pedicure the other day, and for some reason the music turned off. And immediately the owner was, oh, Alexa, turn the music back on. We've become so uncomfortable with silence, and this is robbing us of our consciousness. Stillness has become uncomfortable. And yet in the silence is where your wisdom lives. You're smart. You're intelligent. You know how to get it done. And there's this whole section of your brain and your psyche, right? Remember, psyche means soul. If you listen to my last episode, the word psyche comes from the Greek root, which means soul or spirit. There's so much wisdom that lives within you, and it's where all your creativity emerges. It's where your intuition speaks. Even yesterday, I was driving. We live in a beautiful area. I was driving on Dune Road on the ocean, and there's so many new homes there that are just these square boxes. And I'm thinking, oh my God, where's the creativity in that? It might have more living space in a square box, but it doesn't look very appealing on the outside. So yeah, we could build things, but are we building things with our head, heart, and gut connected? Because when you're conscious, this is when you reconnect with yourself, you reconnect to your intuition, and you reconnect to what I call your Einstein brain. Years ago, if you wanted to find quiet, it was easy. Today, you almost have to fight to find quiet. So again, everywhere we go, there's noise, and someone's talking, someone's telling you a screen is flashing, you're getting an alert. And it's not going away. So I'm not saying that you have to shut it all down. I'm saying we want to become the master of the outside external noise by becoming the master of our internal wisdom. Because we're always constantly externally stimulated, we rarely have the time to tune into that inner voice, your inner wisdom, your inner intuition, and it's there. So since we're not tuning into our inner wisdom, the result is we spend our days doing, consuming, reacting, scrolling, achieving, performing, but rarely pausing long enough to ask ourselves, is this how I want to live? Is this how I want to live? If you've been tracking with these episodes, you know I had my breakdown or breakthrough out in the Hamptons because I did get caught up in it. I mean, years ago, I got caught up in it, and then I got disconnected from it, and I've always walked the path less traveled. I opted out of corporations in 2000 to start my own business, to follow my soul's work, which is difficult to do sometimes because on the one hand, my soul was screaming that this was the work I needed to do and I needed to do it in my own business. But on the other hand, I still had to pay the bills. But when I asked myself, is this how I want to live? The answer was yes. And then I tracked, right? Decades. It went well. And then I went off track again recently. And I started competing, and, just for recognition, for whatever. And I realized it was leaving me exhausted. So I believe our exhaustion comes not from the amount we are doing, but the fact that we've simply forgotten it's okay just to be. It's okay just to be. I'm listening to the chimes out in my backyard. I always say that just 3 breaths in and out is a meditation. And as I've traveled the country working with leaders, I've noticed something. First of all, I always say I only work with the believers because the menu, the things that I bring to the workplace are soulful, right? It's not about do this and here's the ABCs of presentation skills. You must do this and do that. It's not textbook. What I do, textbook is great. There's a lot of good things in textbook, but I want you to connect your mind, your heart, and your gut together. So I notice the leaders that thrive today are not necessarily the smartest people in the room all the time. They're the most conscious people in the room. They're the ones that have their hand on the pulse of themselves, right? They understand themselves. They understand their impact, and they understand that their leadership begins within. Did you get that? Leadership begins within. I want to take a moment to go over all the ways we can connect and work together, because there are so many. Definitely social media. You could subscribe to my newsletter by going to energizeyourhappiness.com, clicking on the key performance logo in the upper left-hand corner, which will prompt you to add your email. And when you do that, you will receive for free my 5 super habits that energize your result. You can continue to keep listening to this podcast. And if you hear something that resonates, that helps you, please share it with your friends and family. This podcast is a labor of love, and it is fully funded by myself. You can read my books. Happiness is a Habit, Energize Your Happiness. Energize Your Happiness is available in book form and on audible.com. And if you like the books, please rate and review. I do a tremendous amount of one-on-one executive coaching. I pride myself on my one-on-one VIP retreats, where it's you and me for 48 hours, focusing on what's important to you and how to add more meaning and fulfillment to your life personally and professionally. We can work together to do one-on-one assessments. I am certified in over 20 different assessments. You take the assessment online, and then one-on-one, we have a Zoom call where you get a personalized debrief session with me. I also have a self-guided online video program based on my first book, Happiness is a Habit. This book has been curated into 18 beautiful videos and an 80-page workbook, which you could do as a self-guided study, or you can hire me to coach you along through it and support you. One of my favorite things to do with burnt out executives is the Energized Leader 90-day reset experience. I do tons of keynote speaking, 1 day, full day and half day workshops, Zoom and virtual workshops. So from podcasts to books, to executive coaching, to workshops, to transformational leadership, all of this work is not about faking it. This work is about emotional mastery, energetic alignment, and courageous leadership, and consciously writing an outcome that you want to live. So you can reach me at energizeyourhappiness.com. All of these things are on my website, or you can email me directly, Michele@energizeyourhappiness.com. Thank you, and make it a great day. So today I am going to share 3 things conscious leaders and uplifters do differently in an unconscious world. I love this season of the podcast. I hope you're loving it as much as I am. So the number one thing conscious leaders do is they lead themselves first. The most important person you will ever lead in your life is you. Are you taking the lead in your life, or are you just reacting? Are you taking the lead in how much exercise you get, whether the fact that you do exercise, whether you get enough sleep at night, whether you eat a good diet of, words and food and all these things. Most people spend their lives trying to manage everything else. Their teams, their spouse, their children, their customers, their boss. I always say the joke, like, you want everybody to do what you want. You can't even get your kids to do what you want sometimes. So conscious leadership starts somewhere else. Starts with you. Starts with yourself. One of the most important lessons I've learned over the year is this. Your primary relationship is with you. It's with you. It's not, again, not with your spouse, not with your kids, not with your boss, not with anybody else. It's with you. Because every experience you have in life comes through you, right? You're the common denominator, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, and your perceptions. And yet most people never stop to examine what's happening inside. There's probably that person in your life that, every boss they had is a jerk. No matter where they go, people are stupid. Every relationship they have, the person's not evolved enough or good enough. And, I sit back and listen and, I've been there myself, but who's the common denominator in all these work relationships? Who's the common denominator in all these romantic relationships? It's you. So the best leaders, the most conscious leaders and light keepers manage their own mind. They know what's happening inside them is paramount. And when something goes wrong, someone blames them, a challenge appears. When a challenge appears, they don't blame the outside world. They don't spiral and lose it. Conscious leaders ask very different questions of themselves. They ask what's happening inside me versus what's going on outside of me. What's happening inside of me? They understand that the circumstances don't automatically create the suffering, but what they say, what they believe and think about the circumstances creates the suffering. And remember, again, you've been listening, pain is physical, suffering is psychological. So if you don't invite me to your meeting next week and I start a chatter, oh, so-and-so didn't invite me to their meeting. They don't know how important I am. They don't see me. They don't respect me. I'm creating a whole lot of suffering that doesn't need to be. Maybe they just forgot. Maybe they don't know what I know for the project. So this is where, as you know me, my two inner characters show up, right? Maybe you know Wanda and Grace. I've talked about them a lot. Wanda is my voice of fear and protection and ego. And Grace is my voice of truth, intuition, and wisdom. And, while Wanda is criticizing me, she's always worried. She always thinks the worst. Grace is calmer. Grace is steady. Grace is connected to the energy that creates worlds, possibility, and truth. Yet most people are letting their Wandas run the show. They're letting their Wandas run the meeting. Conscious leaders and light keepers invite their Graces to the table. And this is something I have to do on a daily basis. I had something happen the other day and I was ticked off. I was angry. And I was like, okay, Michele, I'm feeling, less than, I'm feeling not seen, I'm feeling not valued. And I had to say, okay, what am I doing that's conscious and unconscious? And when I say I want to tend to the situation from consciousness, changes everything. I recognize that my thoughts are not facts. I start to observe my thoughts. So let's go back to you. If something happened in your life and you start this cycle of, they don't see me, they're not respecting me, whatever. I want you to become a conscious observer of your thought rather than a prisoner of your thought, right? And the saying I always say is when your thoughts start to run away, you don't have to go. And when you start to lead yourselves first, you're able to lead others. Okay, so number one, they lead themselves. Number two, conscious leaders and uplifters choose awareness over reactivity. And you know me, baby. I was misreactive, right? Have you ever received an email that instantly upset you? You know the one. You read it and you feel your blood pressure rise. It's almost like you just got punched in the gut. That twist goes off in your gut and you want to start typing that response. Like you can almost feel your fingers are angry typing, right? Hopefully you don't hit send. I was in a client's office years ago and she said to me, can you read this email and tell me if it's, offensive? And I'm like, it is already before even asking me, right? You're looking to get your frustration out and you're looking for that little dig. and that's unconscious, right? You're human. We're all human. I was in a contract negotiation last week and I was like, ooh, with a brand new person. And my unconscious loop started running. I'm like, Michele, separate facts from this suffering the story you're telling, right? We've all been there. Again, the conscious person knows they've been there. The unconscious person says, oh no, I deal with everything great. I'm good. I know everything. Yeah. Unconscious. Ding, ding, ding. The unconscious mind reacts. The conscious mind responds. There is a space between what happens and how we choose to respond. And, for years, you all know my E+R=O from my mentor, Jack Canfield. Everything in your life is an event. The response you have to the event gives you your outcome. And if you don't like the outcomes you're getting in your life, you have control over the response. That space between event and outcome is where leadership lives. The issue is that many people never even access that space. They don't even know that space exists, and they're operating on autopilot. And again, I work with really smart, educated leaders that are just killing it at work, but sometimes they're trying to manage all the external noise and maybe even shield their people from the external noise. But it's not about making the noise go away, because I don't control other people. You don't control other people, but it's about, how do I handle the noise? How do I handle other people's opinions? If somebody criticizes you, an unconscious person will react really quickly to criticism. If someone disagrees with them, they get very defensive. And again, I'm human. I catch myself getting defensive, and it's the catching yourself where the growth happens. As soon as you feel those defenses come up, you're growing in consciousness. I always say, when myself or you are defending, justifying, or rationalizing, I'm staying stuck. Traffic, politics, social media, bad news. A lot of people are reacting. I mean, there's people that go on I see the social media. Oh my God. The unconsciousness on social media. People go on social media just to fight. I got to tell you this, really. I want you to listen up. You cannot pick a fight with a conscious person. You cannot pick a fight with a conscious person because they won't go there. Someone can blast an opinion. I read something on social media. That's their opinion. So I heard a quote once. I forget how it went. It was kind of like, if someone writes a bad opinion of you, that's their opinion. If you respond, it's a press conference. So you don't have to respond. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And these people who are reacting, they're just exhausted. It's emotionally exhausting. Conscious leaders and uplifters understand something different. They live from a different place. They understand that their feelings are valuable messengers, but terrible managers. I always say emotions are information plus guidance, but you're the one that has to guide them. The energy of conflict is, I always say, the energy of conflict is just energy looking for you to direct it, right? So when I feel triggered, I feel defensive, resentful, I have to justify. I have to say, do I want to pick a fight? Do I want to pick a fight? Because my emotions are providing information that right now I want to pick a fight because my ego, my left brain, my provide, protect, Wanda is involved. When the outcome I want is, I just want to get this work done. I want to get this client to agree to what so we can move forward. So yes, I want you to listen to your emotions, but then it's up to you to guide them. When I teach emotional mastery, I often talk about climbing the emotional ladder. And the goal is not to pretend everything is wonderful. The goal is to move one rung higher. So when you feel that emotional twist in your gut, I want you to say, okay, where on the emotional ladder am I? And again, a quick recap of the emotional ladder. If you think of emotions as energy, the bottom rung of the ladder is No energy. Depression. Someone who's depressed has no energy. They can't get themselves up. They can't get themselves out the door. No energy. Someone who's angry is a couple rungs up the ladder. Not where you want to live and reside, but man, anger has a lot more energy than depression. At least I'm up, I'm dressed, I'm ready to fight. Then you want to move up from anger to maybe resentment. And from resentment, maybe to disappointment. From disappointment, maybe to overwhelm. From overwhelm to, you know what? Oh my God, I'm okay. In this moment, I'm content. And if you can get to contentment, you could get to hope. So with the emotional ladder, the idea is to choose a slightly better thought, one thought at a time. And when you do this, you're broadening your perspective. You're opening your mind up to what's possible, and you will make a slightly wiser decision. You'll have a slightly wiser response. Because awareness, first of all, it helps you breathe. And then it gives you a choice. And when you have a choice, you have freedom, 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 freedom. You always have a choice. One of the most powerful leadership skills today is not always communication. It's self-regulation, right? Emotional intelligence teaches us if I can identify my emotion, am I feeling angry? Am I feeling content? Am I feeling overwhelmed? And I can regulate my own nervous system. Now I can be socially aware of where you're coming from and how our relationship can be managed. The ability to remain calm when everyone else in the room is being reactive is the ability to stay grounded during uncertainty. The ability to bring your best helps other people bring their best. When you bring your best self to a meeting, to a party, to the lunch table, to the nail salon, people meet you where you are. That's conscious leadership. So while, yes, this is for people who are leading in organizations, it's also people who are just moving about the world. Can you bring consciousness everywhere you go in the world? So, number one, they lead themselves first. Number two, they are responsive, not reactive. And number three, conscious leaders, I love this one, create from purpose, not pressure. This changed everything for me. I came from a very goal-oriented background. Back in 97, I was teaching goal setting and, it's all about achieving the goal. And I got so caught up in achieving the goals, I sometimes lost the joy of getting to the goal. So all the research has shown that happiness comes before the goal is achieved, while most people believe happiness comes after the goal is achieved. Now, it's, once I get the next book written, once I get the next promotion, once I buy the next car, have the baby, get married, you name it. We always think it's the next client, the next opportunity, the next milestone in our life. And ambition is a wonderful thing. I am still a goal-setting machine. I love to achieve my goals, but my number one goal is presence. My number one goal is consciousness. Am I living in this moment, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, tuned in, tapped in? What are my senses telling me? Because all of your power is in this present moment. You could worry about the future all day long and it doesn't change this moment. Well, it robs you of this moment, right? So when you're constantly chasing, you never arrive. And there's a great quote that says, his desire to win drains him of energy. When you think about it, when you're just there to play the game's more enjoyable. Right? Think about people who are sore losers when they're playing a game. Simple. Sometimes we play a card game in my family all the time, Crazy Gin or May I? And sometimes when I get, oh, I want to win. I'm like, oh my God, it's a card game, Michelle. If you can't handle a card game, you can't handle life. So the activity when you're leading, right? Creating the project, leading the team, that's more important than actually arriving. Because when you're always just going for the end result, the the finish line keeps moving ahead of you. Whoops, I'm hitting myself. Conscious leaders have goals, but they don't lose themselves in the goals. They still make an impact. They still strive for excellence. They still strategize, but they're no longer creating from fear and the pressure to perform. That pressure to perform robs you of so much juicy life. And when you remove that, you are creating from purpose. This podcast has been something I'm creating from purpose. Now, it doesn't mean last season was any less, but I was kind of learning my way in a podcast world. I never had a podcast before, and I was learning how to be a podcast host and how to talk to this microphone with nobody in front of me. But this season, I connected to something, baby, that's really my purpose. And my purpose is bridging that world of spirituality and metaphysics to the world of business. This is what I was built for, and this is what is making this season so exciting for me, and how these episodes are just pouring out of me. So a conscious leader, I want you to ask yourself, they're not asking, how do I prove my worth? They're asking, how do I express my gifts? So good. That's one of the biggest shifts I've made, because sometimes I feel like I'm alone out here because I have all this wisdom and knowledge, and it's not, unfortunately, inauthenticity is what gets rewarded in this world. Inauthenticity, fake people, fake news, everything's. And I really come to a point that this is my gift. This is what I was built for. And it just gives me so much pleasure to serve this up. And I want you to think of your gifts. What are the things that you do effortlessly? The things that other people look at you and go, oh my gosh, you're so good at blank. Are you sharing that with the world? Because when you're sharing your gifts with the world, it's a completely different energy. And you know I am all about energy. And, I can't remember if I said this earlier in the podcast, but I made the decision to spend more time with trees than screens, right? Because trees are calming me. And it's made a world of difference in my life. So what's the quote about nature that's coming to my brain right now? Nature never hurries, and everything arrives on time. Nature reminds you that growth isn't forced. A tree doesn't strive to become the best tree in the forest. A flower just grows into what it's designed to become. A flower doesn't get jealous of the flower next to it. They just shine together. And I think so many people that I talk to are craving this same kind of experience. We want to stop performing, stop proving, stop comparing, and start becoming. Because really, the world doesn't need more exhausted achievers. You know, the pressure I was getting to document my life. This is me making my smoothie, and I'm like, that's not for me. And not that it's not, some people are good at that. That's your gift. If your gift is documenting your life all day long and sharing it, then I love you, more power to you. It just wasn't my gift, and it was exhausting me. So the world doesn't need more exhausted achievers. The world needs more confident, conscious creators. People who know who they are. And in the happiness research, that's what's been proven. So there's levels of happiness in the happiness research. And the bottom rung of the happiness research is just, doing pleasurable things, right? Getting your nails done, having a beer with your friends or a glass of wine, going for a walk, doing something pleasurable, going to a spa, going to a ball game. That's the first level of happiness. The mid-level of happiness is when you get yourself into the flow state, right? We've talked about this on the podcast a lot. The flow state is when you are mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally all involved in the present moment in what you're doing, and time is flying. So the positive psychologist calls this the flow state, and the athlete calls this the zone. But the highest level of happiness is using your gifts and talents in service of something greater than you. Feels good just saying that. using your gifts and talents in service of something greater than you. So these are the leaders I'm seeing that are just doing well in the world because they know who they are, they trust themselves, and they're creating from alignment versus anxiety. So, I just love this season. Let's bring it all together. What do conscious leaders and Start over. What do conscious leaders and uplifters do differently in an unconscious world? Number one, they lead themselves before trying to lead others. Number two, they choose awareness over reactivity, responding over reacting. And third, they create from purpose rather than pressure. In an unconscious world, people are trying to manage everyone and everything else. Conscious leaders and light keepers manage themselves. In an unconscious world, everybody is reacting to everything they don't want. Conscious leaders are responding calmly. In an unconscious world, people are chasing. It's always about, what have you done for me lately? The next thing. And conscious leaders are just creating for the glory and the satisfaction of creating. And that's the invitation. Perhaps that's the invitation for each of us to become a little bit more aware, a little bit more intentional, and a little more conscious of the energy we bring to every room, every conversation, and every relationship. Because leadership isn't a title, it's an energetic responsibility. So before you send that email, this is going to be a win-win email for myself and my client, or myself and this other person. This other person on the opposite side of this email is going to feel my good intentions. Before I walk into this meeting, I am bringing in the best intentions for all involved. Before I pick up this phone, I am going to pick up this phone knowing that my goal is to, yes, maybe achieve the task, but also to strengthen the relationship. The world changes every time one of us chooses awareness over autopilot. I love that so much. The world changes every time one of us chooses awareness over autopilot. So thank you for listening. If today's conversation resonated with you and you work in an organization that's navigating change, leadership challenges, communication issues, or cultural transformation, I'd love to work together. I'd love for us to connect because my focus is on helping organizations become more conscious, more connected, and more effective. That's connected and effective together. So they could create better outcomes for themselves, their teams, and their organizations. You know, wouldn't it be nice to go to a hospital where everyone's conscious and caring and you just feel the energy, or walking into a school, or think about the next meeting room you walk into. So if your organization is in need of any of this, please go to my website, keytounlock.com. It's unlock.com. And, let's connect. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And really, thank you for doing the inner work that helps make the world a better place. Until next time, friends, uplifters, light keepers, and trailblazers, the pen is in your hand. You are writing your own outcome. Make it a great day. If you liked what you heard and you want to go deeper, and you are part of this new earth and this new awakening that is happening on the planet, please go right now to wherever you are listening to this podcast and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Please rate and review to give it a bigger boost, and that will bring more people to the podcast. And stay tuned for more engaging conversations on Write Your Outcome, where this season we are walking the edge between business and spirituality.